stuff anyway, but I suppose that always applies. But it's you said we've been working a proven system, and that's something that we've always been very conscious of. But what has been quite apparent in that 12 years that we've been in the business, things have changed. Not the system, but certainly technology. And when we first joined the business, every lead that we got pretty much came in via the voice messaging system, which is now Easy Reach. So virtually every lead came in over the phone, it was, I'm not sure how long we were in the business, probably a couple of years before we got a website. In fact, for us, it was we got to bronze executive before we even got a computer. So we was ordering by fax. So things have really changed somewhat in that time. But so some of what I want to talk about tonight is more fundamental, but some of it is relates to the changes in technology. Okay, so yeah, started in June 1999 when I'd just been made redundant. I was a sales manager for a pump company in East Anglia, and Deb was a part-time hairdresser. Just been made redundant, and that was quite a shock. It's funny how it is a shock, and yet in engineering sales, in the time that I'd been at work, I'd survived, I think it was 10 lots of redundancy of colleagues around me being laid off. And then the 11th time my name was on the list. But yeah, we got started, and within a couple of weeks a previous employer invited me to go back to a job that I knew and I could do easily. So all but for the first I think it was just 3 or 4 weeks, the first 3 or 4 weeks in Clean Easy I was working it full time, but then went back to the job, and it was part time for, I think it was about 4 or 5 years. So we had a young family as well at the time, and as Andy said, we got to SED with £5 a month before I quit my job, and in actual fact we got the Mini Cooper before I quit the job as well. So having said all of that, the biggest change is being able to quit that job. Being able to quit the job and not to answer to anybody, not have any set hours, that is such a change in lifestyle. And a lot of the things that we like to do involves sort of going out. I like going out on the push bike, I like going out on the motorbike. More recently we've taken up canoeing, and these are all fair weather sports, if you like, or pastimes. And one of the real privileges that we've got is that if it's sunny on a Tuesday, we can go out. We're not just relying on having good weekends. So yeah, it's been a massive change in lifestyle. So what I want to share with you tonight is a number of ideas for practical advice that can be applied right away. Some of my sort of philosophies and thoughts and beliefs. And I know you'll be keeping an open mind and making lots of notes. Hopefully. I do really recommend that you make any notes on anything that really strikes a chord with you, so that you can then refer to that afterwards and apply it. Also, I'm going to assume that everyone on this call is serious about growing their business and won't mind my straight talking. Now, I know that there may be 1 or 2 guests on here, so I don't think there's going to be anything here to frighten them off. But I might as well speak as I feel, and that is, I'm going to start by saying that as with any training, if what I'm saying makes sense, it would be a bit pointless being on this on this webinar if you didn't then apply at least some of what you learned. Wouldn't you agree? You know, and that applies to any training that we go to. We really do need to try and apply some of it. So hopefully I'll have some stuff here that you can apply. I'm going to be talking mainly about building a team, and if you want the Miami, if you want the overseas conferences, if you want the cars, if you want the bigger incomes, ultimately it means building a team. So I say ultimately, you can start building the team right away. So that's mainly what I'm going to be talking about tonight. Okay. Oh, and there's a picture. Like I was saying, it would be pointless being on this call if you didn't apply some of it. Well, there's a picture of some pointlessness. They've cleared their car, but they're not really going to get very far anyway, are they? Cleared their car with snow. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about, and this is nothing to do with technology, but for a long time I was saying that the turning point for us was to make a plan with the successful upline. And I remember we've been in the business a few months. I think we've got to gold, and we sat down with our sponsors, Andy and Claire, and we made a plan. A few things I'd like to say about that is that the plan was to get us to what was then the overseas conference in Cairns in Australia, and we were told what we needed to do, and our first reaction was, well, we can't possibly do that because we're doing as much as we can already. Well, if you hear yourself say that, then really do urge you to think again, because you can certainly do a hell of a lot more than you're doing already. You know, we all can. And when you set yourself that task, you'll find ways of working more efficiently. So it doesn't necessarily to actually create twice as much activity and twice as much results doesn't necessarily mean working for twice as long. And something I'm going to be showing you coming up will be a very effective way of working as well. So having said that, I would point out that an imperfect plan started today is infinitely better than a perfect plan started next week. So your plan hasn't got to be absolutely finished and brilliant and all singing and all dancing. But you need to get a plan, and the most important thing is to get started on it. Okay? Now, what we normally recommend is that you make a plan with the best of intentions, you then track your results, and then you can see whether or not you're getting the results that you want. Maybe you want to adjust that plan. So by tracking your results for maybe a couple of weeks, 4 weeks, something like that, then after that you can adjust your plan. Adjust your plan, and then you need to commit to the plan. And a plan without commitment really is not worth the paper it's written on. But a plan with commitment is priceless and can make all of the difference. And this became apparent when after a few years, 2 or 3 years of saying, you know, the turning point for us was making the plan, and in the meantime we'd helped other people to make plans, and some of the people we'd helped to make plans, nothing happened. Nothing happened with their business. And then we realised it's not the plan, it's the commitment to it that makes the difference. So I just urge you that whatever plan you make, commit to it. And it's better to commit to a, shall we say, a small plan than to have this fantastic plan that's going to get you to Spaceship Commander within 3 weeks. But if you don't commit to that, nothing's going to happen. So it's much better to have a more modest plan, but to completely commit to it. Okay? And to put that into perspective, we committed to our plan, and we did not deviate from that for, I think it was about 4.5 years, with the only exceptions being if we were on holiday abroad. We had a young family, we like to take them abroad, and obviously we didn't do the activity then. We did some, but not to the same degree. But apart from that, Christmas week, Easter week, whatever it was, we just carried on. And that complete commitment really will make a huge difference. So that was the first point. Next thing I just wanted to, this is only just brief, because this was something that I hadn't previously seen until we put this together. A bit about tracking. A bit of a delay on this coming out here. So, you know, tracking in the context I've been talking on is really about tracking your results in terms of generating your leads and the people joining and all the rest of it. But this slide here is really more about tracking retail. But just wanted to show you this because this was something that we hadn't seen previously. But at the back end of last year, when we had a number of people going for gold, we were sat down with I think it was Nick Elliott of Matt and Nick fame, who went gold towards the back end of last year, and we were talking about how they can track their progress throughout the period. Well, what this tracker here shows is that along the top here, if you're aiming for 10%, you need 650 bonus points or £780 of retail. Through to 24%, you need £7,500, 7,500 BP or 9,000 retail. But if you take, just as an example, if you're personally aiming to retail 15%, by the end of the period you're going to need 2,250 bonus points. Well, to be on track, by the end of day one of the period you need to have 80 bonus points. By the end of the first week you need to have 563 bonus points. And this is just a way of tracking your progress every day of the period. And the more frequently you're doing it, and the earlier you're doing it in the period, then the quicker you can adjust your activity to make up for any shortfall. Okay, so that was just something that I think is really quite useful. You can use it to a lesser degree for tracking a team, but at least you know, if you're going for gold, you know that by the end of day 18, if you're going for gold, you should be on 4,821 bonus points to be on target. And if you're behind, you can adjust it. If you're on target, then great stuff. Okay, so that was just something I wanted to throw in there that might be useful. Okay, so who is sponsoring at the rate that they would like? And I would say that's a rhetorical question, but I guess most of us would like to be sponsoring some more. So who is serious about sponsoring more? Really genuinely serious about upping their rate of sponsoring? Well, how serious? This image here shows someone who's got to do some work to make that particular task happen. And Clean Easy can be like that sometimes, but when you're pushing the snowball up the mountain, when you get to the top, it starts to run away with you, and that's really what we're looking to achieve with our Clean Easy team building. Okay, so have you been to your upline for advice? Because if I was not sponsoring at the rate I wanted to sponsor at, and I could see that my upline was sponsoring a lot more, I would be on their case. I'd want to know what they're doing that I'm not doing. What is it that makes a difference? And I'd really, really want to understand that. So if you're not sponsoring at the rate that you are, I really do recommend that you seek out whoever in your upline is sponsoring consistently at a good rate, and seek their advice, because it's there to be. You just got to ask, but it really is up to each individual to go to their upline, the trainings and the meetings, and if you go to the trainings and the meetings and the webinars and all of that, then it's going to help. But on top of that, you can actually ask for direct help. And I think it's important, and maybe it's not a bad thing to say this on a webinar like this, but we have always encouraged everybody to go to anybody in their upline. and go beyond us. I don't care where anybody in our team goes for their help and support, so long as they get help and support. So I think that's a good philosophy. Okay, so how serious are we? We have to adopt a determination to learn, and a determination to learn the disciplines, and we need to be determined, and that's not a word that I think we hear often enough in cleaners, because if we do get stuck, or our business does plateau, we need to be determined to keep kicking it and actually make it happen. Okay, so if others are sponsoring lots, and we know they are, there's more and more figures being published now on sponsoring. If other people are sponsoring lots of people, then you can too. We all can sponsor lots of people, and I guess the people on this webinar are those that are wanting to do that. So who has heard their upline say, "Just do more"? Well, we're in Bob Webb's Fast Forward group, and that it's Bob that I've heard most just say "Just do more." And that's a good philosophy. But I'm going to show you how to do more effectively without actually creating yourself lots more work. So you don't just deal with 30 leads a week, or 50 leads a week, or 100 leads a week. When we first started, it was 30 leads a week was a good figure to be aiming for. 30 prospects or 50. And if you really want to get things moving now, it's been bandied about that maybe 100 leads a week, which is big numbers, really serious numbers that I think could put some people off. Well, how about dealing with 30 leads a week? So 30 leads in week 1. But how about increasing what you're doing, just doing more, and dealing with 60 leads in week 2? Or dealing with 90 leads in week 3? Or how about 1,560 leads per week in week 52? So after a year, you're actually communicating with 1,500 leads in a week. Okay, and that after 5 years, that's going to be 8,000 leads a week. Well, if you're communicating with 8,000 leads in a week after 5 years, do you think that you might actually be able to find some people in there that want to join your business? So, which do you think is going to give you the best results? 30 leads a week or thousands of leads a week? And that's what we're going to be focusing on how to achieve that. So you can choose to do more each week, every week. So every week you're dealing with more leads, and I think that's a concept that really interested me. And these numbers, by the way, are before anyone in your team duplicates you. This is purely about you increasing the number of leads that you're dealing with. And I'll show you how we're going to do that. But first, let me ask you a question. If Gavin Scott, one of Clean Easy's most successful distributors, and Neil Young, Clean Easy's current distributor of the year, and last year's top new business builder, and many others, if these guys who are being massively successful were advising us all to do something to help with sponsoring, we'd all do it, right? Stands to reason. If the really successful people are all saying this is what you need to do to sponsor more, then we'd all do it, I'm sure. Okay, so which autoresponder do you use? Because I first recall Gavin speaking at a Clean Easy event about autoresponders. He might have done it before, but I know January a year back, Gavin spoke at the ICC, the Clean Easy in Birmingham, and included in that was the use of autoresponders. So it's been some time now, and before that, Gavin was talking about it to Gavin's group as well. So it's been a while now that there's been a lot of talk about autoresponders, and they are really getting some serious results. So how serious are you? Are you put off by the technology? Are you a technophobe? Well, you know, I know a lot of people are fearful of the technology, and I know people are also concerned with even coming onto a webinar, for example, because a webinar is maybe a little bit more complex than a conference call. But you know, if you think back to 5 years, 10 years, however long appropriate to you, but at one time you wouldn't have been able to send an email. At one time you wouldn't have been able to have ordered anything on the internet. And now most of us will be sending emails every day. Most of us will be doing some form of business on the internet every day. So it's just taking it one step at a time. So I urge any technophobe to put that to one side and just go back to what I said earlier about be determined to learn what needs to be learned to get this. So go to your upline that is using an autoresponder and seek out the information. Now I'm kind of setting up the uplines because leaders need to be using an autoresponder because your team are going to be coming to you for help and support. So it's really important that the leaders start to use this stuff. But don't just deal with 30 leads a week or 50 leads a week, but basically deal with every lead every day. And that's what an autoresponder can do for us. So we're not generating 1,500 leads or 8,000 leads a week, but we're dealing with all the leads that we've ever had on a daily basis. That's what an autoresponder can do for us. Okay, so this is basically how how we use an autoresponder. So on the left hand side there, the autoresponder will automatically send an email to new leads. I will just emphasise that in my opinion, every new lead still needs to be phoned. I'm not yet convinced that we should be relying purely on email. And for new leads coming in, whether that's 30 leads a week or 50 leads a week or whatever it is, I think those new leads should still be phoned in addition to what the autoresponder is doing for us. And that's whether or not you're phoning them to make an appointment to go and see them, or you're phoning them to follow up information that you sent them. So whatever system that you're working, I still think if you rely on emails, you're going to miss a lot of people that would otherwise join you. So that's my opinion. Maybe others would disagree, but what we do with our autoresponder is somebody comes onto our website, fills out their details, and when they click submit, they'll automatically get an email immediately. They then get another email on day 2, another one on day 3, and they get a different email from us every day for a week, and then we have a couple of days gap and then 3 days gap, and then that's the end of the automatic send out. Now what we do on that first email is something like just a brief email saying thanks for your inquiry, we'll be contacting you shortly, and here's the link back to the website or to a website for more information. Day 2 will highlight some certain aspect, and each day we highlight a different aspect of the business. So we might be referring people to testimonials, we might be referring people to how it works, and so on. So that's basically what we do automatically with the autoresponder. So all of those people that you can't get hold of for whatever reason, their phone's off, they don't answer the phone from the number they don't recognise and all of that, where there's some delay, at least you're getting this to them automatically. Okay, and then on the other side, we manually send an email to all leads daily. Now we're sort of building up to the daily thing. We're doing it probably every other day, but ultimately I intend to be emailing all of our contacts every single day, and that I think is the way to go, so that we've all heard, I'm sure, many times about, you know, when somebody says no to you, no, they don't want to join. They're not saying no, not ever. They're saying no, not yet. Well, the idea of this autoresponder is that when the time comes for somebody to join Clean Easy, they think of you and they've got an email from you that day. So that's really what this is all about. So that as their circumstances change, your name's there in front of them. Okay, so that's the important thing here is to maybe get started with using your autoresponder, but start with sending out an email maybe once a week, then build up twice a week, and then every other day, and then daily. But the important thing is to start to get those emails out. And I'll explain. I'm going to be explaining now what you say to them in the emails. Okay, so the first thing, and what I'm talking about here is the ones that we send out manually. So we need a striking and personalised subject line. That is the most important point of the email, I think, because if you don't have a striking and personalised subject line, they won't even open it. This is the bit that they see in their inbox. Okay, and the graphic there is people like to see their name, and they're even wearing jewellery with their name on. So by putting their name in it, that in itself makes it striking. So let's just have a look at some examples. I've got a prospect called Fred. So examples of a striking subject line might be, "Crikey, Fred, I've just discovered." And Fred is then thinking, what's he just discovered? And he'll open the email. Or, "Fred, did you know?" Did I know what? You know, so, "Fred, have you had enough?" So they're just some examples of a personalised and striking subject line. And for those that don't know, an autoresponder, you can send out an email to however many people you've got, and that can be anything from from one through to hundreds of thousands, and everyone will be personalised with their first names. Okay, so that's the subject line, the most important point. And then we go on to, within the body of the email, just say hi, dear, hello, whatever suits your style. So I tend to say hi, which is fairly casual. If you're more formal, you might want to say dear Fred, hi Fred, whatever. But again, using their name in there. And then one line, put in one line to, ideally keep it to one line, to build rapport. Something personal or something topical, so that you're starting to build a relationship with your prospect. Okay, so a couple of examples here, one personal, one topical. First one there is, this was a line that I've used. "Just back from a great bike ride over the country park. I just love the freedom our business offers." Talking of business, and then I go on to the rest of the email. Or another example here is another budget coming up next month, and we all know for sure there will be more taxes and less benefits for everyone. Okay, so that's something topical. The first one was obviously personal, but hopefully starting to sort of connect with the prospect. And then we say something like, we need to identify their problem. Now the problem generally is money. Okay, so we identify their problem, and then we aggravate it. We rub their nose in their problem, if you like, and then we offer a solution. And then something that we can do in Clean Easy is we can provide evidence in the form of testimonials. Now you can put a testimonial in the body of the email, but it might make the email a bit big and bulky. I prefer to just have a link that says something like, "Click here to see this testimonial." I'll show you some examples in a minute. But that provides evidence, and then a call to action. That is, we tell them what we want them to do next. So we've identified their problem, we aggravate it, we offer a solution, we provide evidence that we can offer that solution, and then we tell them what we'd like them to do next if they're interested. Okay? Okay, it is really important that within this email structure we keep it as brief as we possibly can. Or another way of putting that might be, within this structure keep it as brief as possible. Or maybe we could say keep it brief. Or better still, be brief. So we've cut that long sentence from the top of the page down to be brief. Okay, and really we want it to be brief because we just want to attract their attention and get them to the call to action. So we don't want pages and pages of testimonials and emails. We want to keep it nice and brief and to the point. So this now is an example of a letter. So in the subject line here I've got Fred, the next budget is looming. Okay, so that's the attention grabbing headline, hopefully. And then I say, hi Fred, next month we will see another Chancellor's budget. Whatever our circumstances, we are all likely to be affected by either higher taxes or lower benefits. So that's the sort of topical bit. Then we get on to the chances are most people will be under even more financial pressure next month than they were this month. So that's sort of highlighting their problem. They're going to be under financial pressure, and the month after that it will be worse. So that's really aggravating it. Okay? And then thank goodness there is a solution, and you have found it right here. So that's telling them we've got the solution. And then the evidence is Vanessa earned over £200 extra in her first month working 8 hours a week. Click here for her story. So it's a very clear instruction what they need to do to get her story. Now I've used Vanessa's name there because that personalises it and makes it more real. I've put in an actual figure because we can. And then the next one is click here to see how parents of 4 children earn £3,400 in a month. So that is, I haven't used the names, but people that have got children can relate to that. And to see why former travel agent owners closed their business to do this, click here. Well, blimey, if someone's got their own travel agency business and they've shut it to do this, it must be good. Fred's name in here again, so that's it's surprising how many people think this is a personal email to them, and that's largely because of using their names in there, I think. And then importantly, I think it's really important to put in your phone numbers for 2 reasons. One is, I reckon, I haven't actually measured it, but I reckon about 40% of the responses I'll get to this will be a phone call directly. So they don't reply by giving me their phone number, they just phone at me directly. So that's one very good reason for doing it. But also I think if I'm asking them for a phone number, I should give them my phone number. I think that's just a logical thing to do. So that's the basic structure of the email. What I will say is that in 12 years we've been sponsoring about 1 new distributor per week, and that's what we would now call a business builder. So since the introduction of the Breakfree a year ago, we've sponsored about 1 business builder per week and slightly less Breakfrees. Every Breakfree joiner has been in addition to what we've always done, not instead of. We've always done about 1 a week on 200 catalogues or thereabouts. We're tending to do 250 catalogues now. But the Breakfree is just extras. A business builder kit is the right choice for more people than a Breakfree kit. And I really do believe that. It really is the right choice for most people. For everyone we register with Breakfree that could have joined with a business builder kit, we have done them a disservice by not explaining the huge benefits of starting with a business builder kit. I personally believe it is our responsibility to offer the kit that is best for them. And sometimes that will be a Breakfree, but I believe 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a business builder 250 kit. I think we've got a responsibility to get that across to people that are looking to start their business, because we know statistically that people that start on the bigger kits are more likely to be successful. Having said that, there's lots of people starting on break free, and huge respect to them for making a success of it, because it doesn't, the kit you start with, doesn't matter what kit you have, it's the actions that you take. But statistically we know that starting with the bigger kits makes sense, and people are going to get earning more money more quickly. Now, one of the things that one of the objections we get is when somebody says, I can't afford it. Well, I always take it when somebody says to me, I can't afford to start with a business builder kit, that actually means you haven't explained to me properly the benefits of investing in a business builder kit. And I take responsibility for them not being able to see it, because I genuinely believe that anyone in the Western world can find not 200 quid to get started. They could find 2 grand if they needed to. They could find a lot more than that. Who in the Western world would say, I can't find £2,000 for a life-saving operation for a loved one? They would find £2,000 for a life-saving operation for a loved one because they understand the need for it. Well, if they can find 2 grand, they can find the price of a good night out or the price of a business builder kit, I believe, if we get the message across. So admittedly, none of us can get this across to everybody, and I certainly can't always get that across, but however, once they join, some will then see the massive benefits that they would have had if they had joined with a business builder kit. Okay, I'm running out of time here, so I'll better speed up a bit. We do sponsor with Break Free kits, and we have seen some great success stories from people joining with Break Free. And in fact, I think it was last week we had somebody generated with their first 10 catalogues. I think it was about £640 from 10 catalogues before they got any more. So that was a fantastic success story. Okay, so just to summarise, make a plan and commit to it. Track your progress daily. Start to sort out an autoresponder today, and then you're not going to get it all sorted today, but commit to having your autoresponder fully operational by whenever you can think, but a week or 2. Set yourself a deadline to get it sorted, to get started straight away. That's my advice. Identify prospect needs and promote the appropriate kit, as I just said. And finally, remember, if what I'm saying makes sense, it would be a bit pointless being on this webinar if you didn't then apply at least some of what you learned. So let's build it massive. Okay guys, that's me about finished. Hope that's been of some use, and that you can go away and apply that and build it massive. Okay, I'll hand you back to Andy.